Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about the earphones. This is so I can have a decent microphone on and you can hear me at a distance. So, ladies and gents, today, I was going to show you how to tie down canoes. Now, you can use this for any kind of cargo, really, but what we got here is a few pros and cons. And so first, regardless of knots and so on and all this stuff, this is easy to do. Anybody can do this stuff and tie them all down. And so if we go around to the other side, you can see where I kind of pulled things down. But here's some tricks. Okay, so here's some tricks. When you work on your roof rack with these straps, these usually come with like a kayak stackers and so on. You're gonna somebody stopping by to see how I'm doing. First thing, it's easy to step on your back wheel. Right? So if you can't reach up very top very well, just step right up on this thing. And I actually step in the back seat and I wedge my butt into the door so I can't fall backwards, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to set you up right there. Maybe you can see. So this works just by, this protects your canoe or your kayak or whatever gear you have. And this is just a bunch of teeth. You can see there, hopefully. So that right there helps. This lever just opens up and this moves through. And so the teeth here grab onto it. So make sure you go through the proper way. Don't go through the other way because it'll go one way and not the other. So when I tighten this up, I go around my bars and this, you can have them flat if you want on a canoe, but if there's open space, twist up your straps because they won't make as much noise. So you'll get this funny noise that happens when you're driving down the highway if they're flat like that. So I put the rubber over this, but for the sake of demonstrating, all I'm going to do is pinch this and pull down and that tightens it up. So it's really, really simple. Okay, and you guys, I'm going to make sure you guys can still see. Don't fall, don't fall. There we go. Also, I set this up like I could have cycled this down and have to push up. But instead, I make this so that I can pull down. So gravity is on my side. It's a heck of a lot easier. So I move that there, and I pull down, and I get this as tight as I possibly can. If your canoe can't handle that, you better not be paddling with that canoe. Then I can tie this off. So one thing I like to do is put the strap underneath, and then cycle that through a half hitch. Just like that. And then I can tie this off and get this. I don't want this flapping in the wind either. So I can tie this off a bunch. Just like that. And you can leave a bite the same way. You can go through both the straps. Another way you can do it is to go by the whole thing. So strap underneath there. Actually, this one's always good to do so that if this mechanism starts to let go, you don't have to worry about it. So it's just half hitches that we were doing before. And then this one, I can come down and wrap around this thing, this post. Now this makes a wind barrier. So if you want to, you can go on the inside and wrap it around and just use this up. So a lot of people like to do this. They wrap around there. It's hard to do it one-handed. So you wrap around this a couple times. And then they stick the tab up in here and jam that up in there so it doesn't go anywhere. And I wouldn't leave it like that because it's a little bit too short. But you could do it this way. It's up there. Really, everything's harder to do when you only got one hand. Okay, but that's ideal. Another one is this, where I've gone and just connected everything really quickly. Sorry, it's the same thing on the back side, but this time, because the canoe comes so close to the outside rail, because it gets narrower back at the back of my Subaru, I connect right to this. And the beauty of this is if this mechanism here ever let go on the highway, you don't have to worry about it because the canoe is actually attached to the roof rails, which has a physical connection here and here. So this one doesn't. If this goes somewheres, then the whole canoe is going to go. There's no connection to this besides the mechanism that they get built in there. So it depends on your roof rack. Some people use bungee cords. I don't like bungee cords. One, when they get really, really tight, which you need them to be, they can fling back, catch you in the eye, catch you in the finger. There's so many things that can happen. So instead, I like to use ropes. And in order to do that, we use some knots that we're going to use with our tarps as well. So you might as well learn all at once. It's a trucker's hitch, which makes sense because truckers need to tie stuff down. Okay, let's see how we do. So first of all, I start with a bowline. This is a really old canoe. It's a lake canoe. It's awesome. We'll talk canoes sometime maybe if you want to. But this is a bowline. It's been there for a while. If you don't remember how to tie a bowline, this is how you do it. You're going to take a loop, just a twist like that, and make sure you keep track of what's on top right here. It's hard to do. So this right here. This is not the loop you're going to end up with. So when you look at this bowline, there's a loop on it. Okay? But that's not the loop that we're tying right off the bat. This piece here is going to be the loop. And there's that story about the rabbit and the tree. So if this is a tree and this is a rabbit's hole, I'm going to go up through the hole, go around the tree, and then drop down into the hole again. And when I do that, I'm going to pull on this one right there. So the tail actually ends up in the middle, this tail right there. So the rabbit, the tail or the rabbit, whichever one you want, is going to end up back in here. And this is really short, so I could kind of lengthen it out if I needed a bigger loop, but I don't need much of a bigger loop. I just need a small loop. I just want this thing to not go anywhere. Okay? So, and it's a wiry rope, so I need to work on it a little bit. So the tail goes in the middle, but I got lots of tail left over to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Now I can wrap around stuff and just put it through that loop. Okay? So that's what I've done on this side over here. Okay, so I've gone around the bar of my trailer, okay, and I just put this over near. I gotta go around the post on the other side because this rope is good rope, but I want it to be even stronger than that. Hopefully you're getting that. So this is my bowline. I've gone around the canoe and I've come back on this side, and I need to be able to snug this down. This is an old canoe. All this wood needs to be replaced. But here's the thing. How do I tie this on so I don't, you're thinking of shoelaces, right? So how do I tie this thing on so that this is really, really super snug and doesn't move around? Okay? And that's why people like bungee cords, because it pulls down with an elastic force. But they're just not strong enough. Okay? Usually. I can do this one of two ways that I can show you today. Either one ends with half hitches and a pulley sort of action. Okay? So all I need to have a pulley is if, let's say my finger is a rope and I just wrap around, I can go up and use that as a pulley, right? It's like a wheel. So I pull it and then I can tie that off and jam the pulley in there. Okay, so if that was a rope in there, then you would have that jammed. I already have a loop here on my bowline. So should I want to, I could just come through that and use that as my pulley. And what it does is doubles your strength. So it makes you twice as strong and you can capture your progress. So I pull up on that. You can see the bowline move and it makes space there. That's okay because you're equalizing the pressure. Normally you'd want that to be nice and snug down here, but I don't need it to be. Then so this rope here acts as a pulley. And I'm going to make a space and go through that with half hitches. And if I'm really smart, because now I'm fiddling with it while I get tension on it. So let's back off for a second. I'm going to make that knot first. Okay, so I've got the knot made. I've just gone through this space with my bite so I can pull that out after. Now, and it's big enough that I have a place I can put my hand. I can cinch this down. I pinch where the rope is. And look at that. I can sit here. I got time. I don't want to take too much time because I don't hold it that long. And then I pull that down until it pinches right on top of that pulley. Right on top. It's a half hitch, so I just want to do two. So there's my other half hitch. And it gets nice and snug. If I want to, I can wrap around this and do some stuff. Okay? Or I can tie around wherever I want. And now that canoe is really nice and stable. Okay? That's an easy way to do it if you have a bowline. Sometimes you can't do that though, and you don't have either enough rope to make it back twice. So you would do it this way. So I tie onto the other side of the bar, so you can see it. Okay, and all I'm going to do right here is I got to make a pulley up here somewheres. Okay, so all I'm going to do, you can see the wire there. It's good shadow. I'm going to pull a section out, and this makes a bite. And I talk about this like a wave. Okay, so here's the ocean. Now I've got a wave. Okay, a wave developing. And the wave always goes back to the source. So I pull this up, I get a wave. I know my other rope can reach there, so it's a good spot to go. I make a wave. Okay, make a wave, and I go back towards the original starting point. Once I get there, I'm going to create a half hitch. And this is actually called an overhand on a bite, because a bite is this loop. I'm just going to make a space and then wrap that through until now I've got a loop on the end. Okay, now you can see it. I got a loop on the end that's adjustable. So I can make this bigger or smaller, depending on what the heck I want to do. And you'd think it would come undone. And the beauty of it is, it will come undone. When I want to get rid of this at the end of the day, I just pull on it and it all comes undone. So I make a loop. I go through that space that I made, and now I have to hang on to this one, and I don't want to make that too big. Then I'm going to put this down here, I wrap it around that post, and I'm going to use this loop, this open loop here. I'm going to come into that loop with this rope, just like I did the bowline before. And then I can pull down on it, and now I got gravity on my side, and I can actually get this a lot tighter than I could before. Okay, I'm actually now I'm concerned about my boat, because you can really squeeze these down. As opposed to lifting up, pushing down works way better. I've also got space down here to tie a knot. It's not up against the canoe, the hull of the canoe. It's a little gap here because of what we call the tumble home of the canoe. Anyway, I can pre-make that half hitch that I tie off with, and I leave a bite with it so that I can always untie. Everything I do, I want to be able to untie it easily. Okay, so I hold the tension, and I pull that right up against my pulley. Then I do my second half hitch right on top of that, and then I can do my second half hitch. So if you can't see it, all it is making that space, wrap around your object, and come back through that space. And that's a classic trucker's hitch, just using all kinds of these half hitches to tie it off. Okay, and then your canoe will be on there really nice and solid. There you go. So tying down gear, you really got to practice. So look up on animated knots. You can look up bowline and either tie it directly to your thing, or just have a bowline as a loop that you can wrap around stuff and then put the rope through it. Then you have an overhand on a bite, but make sure you go the right direction. If the knot collapses on you when you pull on it, it means it was not going back to the source. It means it was set up and looped around the other way, and so the whole thing just falls in on itself. Then you wrap around your object, Harley. Then you wrap around your object, your other chunk of rope, whatever it is, pull it, and then do half hitches. So a bowline, overhand on a bite, and half hitches. If you can do the 2 loops, that's cool, because then when you wrap around a second time, you don't need the overhand on a bite. All you need is just another loop to grab onto. And that comes back in ice rescue. So if you need to get anybody out of the ice, sometime when you take a course like that, you're going to see that move, so that you can, because you can't pull anybody out of the water when you're on the middle of the lake, but you can drive anchors down, and then you can set up this little system so that you can be 2x, 3 times as strong as you normally are and pull them out of the lake before they get into big trouble. Okay? Yeah, tying down cargo and canoe. Take care.